Hey everyone, this is Ditto from Humble Fish and Reef to Reef, bringing you the second part of a two-part series on setting up a heater on a GHL ProFlex controller and a Neptune Systems Apex controller, utilizing an outlet controlled by the temperature probe of the controller. This is a reminder that this new series is not meant to be one controller is better than another controller, but rather a source for those who are looking to see the difference in programming between the two top aquarium controllers in the market. So, let's get started with the second part of the video. First, we need to sign into both devices. In this video, on the left-hand side will be the Apex Fusion app, and on the right-hand side, the GHL Connect app. It should be noted, both the Neptune controller and GHL controller contain built-in web interfaces, allowing you to program the devices on your local area network via a web browser. On the left, I am entering my credentials for Apex Fusion, utilizing my stored credentials inside my iPhone device. I'll be skipping the facial recognition setup, and therefore are presented with a screen which displays the list of controllers that are tied to this user account for me to monitor and program. On the right is the GHL Connect app. Credentials are not required as they were stored within the app when I did the initial setup. First, I'm going to choose the ProFlex controller I wish to connect to. Upon doing so, I am presented with the dashboard of the ProFlex controller. Choosing the Apex controller on the left within Fusion, we are presented with the controller's dashboard. How do we set up alarms if the tank becomes too hot or too cold? On the Neptune controller, click on the gear icon next to the temperature sensor. Scroll down and you're going to notice that by default it will be set to use the recommended values of 75 degrees and 82 degrees. You can also override these settings by clicking on the checkbox to not use the recommended values and then clicking on the Advanced tab, and you can set how you wish the alarm to be triggered by clicking on Alarm. Do you want it to be below, above the maximum, or when it's outside both ranges, which is what I'm going to choose. And then you can set the minimum and maximum temperature that you wish to have the alarm be triggered on. So this would be if it goes outside of 75 degrees or goes outside of 82 degrees. Once you have made your changes, you scroll to the top, click on the cloud icon to send the configuration to the controller, and then press OK. On a GHL controller, click on the temperature sensor on the dashboard. Scroll down to the Alarm section. To activate the alarm, slide the toggle button to the On position. To determine when the alarm will be triggered, we need to enter in a maximum deviation of the plus and minus value. The nominal value plus the hysteresis value and the deviation value will be used to determine when to trigger the alarm. For me, I am leaving it at 2 degrees. In the previous video, I set the nominal temperature of the tank that I wanted to keep my tank at was 77 degrees, with an hysteresis of 0.36, which means the heater will turn on at 76.8 degrees. This means also, with the settings that I'm using now, the alarm will trigger if the tank is 74.8 degrees or lower, or when the tank is 78.8 degrees and higher. If you enter in things like cooling differences or nighttime values, your alarms will be automatically adjusted based on those settings. When you're done with your alarm settings for the ProFlex controller, click Save at the bottom of the screen, and this will save the settings to the controller. Does the dashboards update if the alarm happens based on the temperature of your tank? I've already set up both controllers to place the alarms on the screen by adjusting the alarms to automatically trigger regardless of the tank's temperature. On the Neptune's controller in the Fusion's header bar, a small icon will appear with a number next to it. Clicking on the alarm icon will display the alarm. You can also get the details of the alarm by clicking on the alarm itself. If notifications are set up, you will also be notified of the alarm. On a GHL controller, a number will appear next to the alarm icon in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, indicating that there's an alarm. Clicking on the alarm icon will display the alarm, and if notifications are also set up, you would be notified of the alarm. The GHL controller will flash red. On the Profilux screen, you will see the alarm and what triggered the alarm. Can you log the heater coming on and off? On a Neptune controller, scroll down to the outlet with which your heater is plugged into. Slide the protective window over the outlet to the left and then click the gear icon. Scroll down and click on the empty checkbox next to log to begin logging when the port is going to be turned on and off for the heater. Scroll to the top, click on the cloud icon to save the configuration to the controller, and then press OK. This feature does not exist on the GHL controller. Can I see the operating hours of the sensor? On a GHL controller, click on the temperature sensor on the dashboard. Scroll down to the operating hours. This is the overall operating hours of the sensor, which can be reset at any time by clicking on the gear icon if you ever replace the sensor. This option does not exist for the Apex controller. Can I see the operating hours of a heater? On the GHL controller, click on the hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner of the screen and choose Switch Channels. Click on the switch channel that which your heater is plugged into, and the operating hours will be displayed on the screen. Operating hours for the heater are calculated based on the amount of time the heater is on. You can also reset the interval by clicking on the gear icon if you ever replace the heater. This option does not exist for the Apex controller. Can I chart the power utilization of a heater outlet? On a Neptune controller, click on the chart icon in the left-hand corner. Next, on the chart creation, select the drop-down menu option and scroll down to Energy Data and choose the tank heater, amperage or wattage. Upon clicking on either amperage or wattage, a chart will display with the power utilization of the outlet. From here, you can go back up to 3 months in time by using the slider on top. You can also the alarm limits, the control limits. You may also look at it based on days, by hours, and so forth. This option does not exist on the GHL controller. Can I quickly see the amperage usage of my heater when it's on? On a Neptune controller, when things are powered on and you're on your main dashboard page, as shown here, you don't get to see the actual amperage which is being drawn by the device. But to see that information quickly, you can click on the chart icon in the upper left-hand corner, then select the chart of the device with which is plugged in to that outlet, and choose any of the ones that have the letter A next to them. So for example, tank heater A is the tank heater amperage, and what will be displayed in front of you is the chart of today's power utilization, including if it's on right now, and its amperage utilization of that outlet. On a GHL controller, there are 2 ways to quickly see if something is on and what amperage is being utilized by that device. The first is from the dashboard page itself. As long as the tile of switch channels has been added to your dashboard, you can quickly scroll down and look at each switch channel that you've configured to be displayed on that outlet, and underneath it will show if the outlet is on its overall amperage. The second way with which that you can see this information, if you do not wish to put the switch channel applet onto your main dashboard page, is go to the hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner, then click on switch channels, and as you scroll down, your switch channels that are on will show the amperage utilization. Can I program an outlet to remain on in the event connectivity is lost to the controller? Warning, this should only be utilized if your heater has an internal thermostat. Do not use this feature if your heater does not have an internal thermostat. On the Neptune controller, scroll down to the outlet with which your heater is plugged into, and slide to the left the protective window over the outlet, and then click the gear icon. Scroll down to the configuration option where you will see the fallback option. By default, the fallback option on this outlet port is turned off, which means that in the event that the controller loses access to the EB832 power strip, it will be turning off that outlet. But if you wish to have the outlet to remain on, then click on the drop-down option, choose On, then scroll to the top, click on the cloud to save the configuration to the controller. On the GHL controller, click on the hamburger icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and choose System. Scroll down to the menu option called Assign and Configure Connected PAB Devices and click on it. Next, click on the gear icon next to the power bar with which the heater is plugged into. By default, the initial state, if connectivity is lost between the power bar and the controller, is off. If you wish to have the outlet remain on in the event that connectivity between the controller and the outlet is lost, then click on each outlet that you wish to have remain on and then choose Save. It is very important to understand how fail-safe or fallback options work when it comes to both an Apex controller and a Neptune controller, especially for that of a heater. Only use this option if you have confidence that in the event that connectivity is lost between the controller and the outlet, that the heater's internal thermostat can regulate the tank. If not, then do not choose this option. This concludes the second video in the two-part series showing how to set up a heater for use on a Neptune Systems Apex controller and a GHL Systems Proflex controller. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can always reach out to me on Humblefish and Reef to Reef. This is Ditto, signing off.